The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views expressed are based on personal experience and knowledge and should not be considered as professional advice. Viewers are encouraged to do their own research and consult with qualified professionals before making decisions based on the content discussed. The creator of this video is not responsible for any actions, decisions, or outcome resulting from the use of this information. Use the content at your own discretion. And here we are, we're back again. We got a nice shirt because we gotta get into the mood because we're gonna be talking about a lot of interesting things today, and especially about these people who are going overseas just like me, looking for better opportunities. And today we're gonna talk about a very specific thing, which is not traveling with empty luggages. And this is a very beautiful metaphor that I like to use a lot because it's important. What I mean about luggages, I mean knowledge, education, and knowing what to expect and how you want to be approaching things, because when you go out there in this world, it's a very beautiful world, but also mean in the same time. So you can get lost and start freestyling and then ending up 40 years later not knowing exactly what you're doing of your life. So be very careful when you're traveling. And when you're deciding to go into a different country and establishing and building something over there, you gotta approach it with a different mindset. You gotta approach it like with at least the motivation to learn the local language if you're living in a different country, because that's gonna help you navigate a lot, and that's also the best way for you to get to know the culture of the country that you are living in. It gives you a decent understanding of their way of thinking, the way of talking, and also the lifestyle. And this is what is different. When I mean traveling, I don't mean going out there and spending 2 days. I mean living, building something over there. And that's much more exciting than going 2 days here, 1 day here, 1 day there, because you don't have enough time to experience the first-hand experience of living there, because you're gonna be learning so many things. But like my grandpa used to say, and I think this is a very beautiful quote, peace upon him, he said, when you speak a language, you're one person, but if you speak 2 languages, you're 2 persons. And I think this is one of the most beautiful quotes, because my French friends, when I speak to them, they have a different image of me, okay? We have to agree with that, but when I speak with my Italian friend or my Spanish friends, it have a different opinion by just changing the accent, or probably I was speaking English with an English-French accent, so, but yes, well, I do speak French as well, but what I mean about that is basically like people have a different image of you. In each language, you're gonna like, people know you from a different perspective, kind of like different personalities. I mean, it's not a sign of multi-personality disorders, but what I mean about that is that people that know me, that I speak French, that what was the first language that we stopped speaking, well, they have a different image of my English friends than my Spanish friends and my Arabic friends. So each person have a different opinion of you. And obviously, if you don't have any core principles and values, you can get lost in all of this. Because when you are learning a new language, you are exposed to a new culture. And I think there is a very good study done by David Crystal. He is one of English linguists who's at a certain time in this life, which I believe is still the case, where English was the lingua franca, which means it was the language that was dominating the whole world, and people everywhere around the world was choosing English as a #1 language or the second language in order for them to develop diplomatic relationships with all over the world. But the only thing is that when you're learning a language, you're technically also learning the indirect things of what is to learn a language, which is the culture, the ideologies, this new way of thinking, this new way of reasoning, of your thoughts. So it's a whole completely different mentality, you know? And that's very important to keep in mind, because when you're traveling out there with this amount of diversity that there is, you can get lost quite easily. So know what are your limits, and setting up boundaries. I think at any age you can still do that. At any age, like, okay, or how people treat you, or how people deal with you, or what are the extent of your limit of trying and experimenting new cultures. Because sometimes, like for example, alcohol, it can be very different from one culture to another. So there is a certain limit that you have to establish yourself when you're traveling. Otherwise, if you start mixing everything and then doing everything, you're gonna start having probably an identity crisis. And I think this is what I've been through, what I went through when I was in the age of like 22 to like 25 or 24, I would say, because I was doing so many things. I was hanging out with so many diverse people, which was very beautiful, to be honest, because I had a glimpse of every single person's lifestyles. It could be anybody. It could be the hardworking people, it could be the artist people, it could be the movie people. So I really was surrounded with a lot of diversity. So for me, I was like, okay, now when I'm starting to become older, I'm starting to understand what are the crowds that fits for me, that aligns with my values. But still, I do hang out with them from time to time because of the friendship that I have built in the past. So all of this, having this mindset can bring you a lot of opportunities, because you're gonna be having the chance to discover so many beautiful souls, so many beautiful people, but in the same time, ugly people and bad people. But it's always has been worth it to give it a try. And I think this is why, if you are going to the path of discovering yourself through the process you're taking to this journey, you're basically betting on yourself. You are betting on yourself. That means you're betting that you could handle yourself in that situation. And I think this is the most beautiful thing that you could ever do, is take risks if you are not happy with the current situation that you are in. And that's very, very important, that you have to take risks. You have to sacrifice some things, because most of the people that go outside and overseas to work, to find other opportunities. Some of us go there because they want to change their lifestyle, because they got bored of the country that they were living in. Some of us go out there to work and send some money back home to help the family. Everybody has different motives to why they are traveling and why they are there in the country. So knowing what you are currently doing is very important, and it could save you a lot of time, especially if you're looking to gain citizenship on that country or getting a permanent residency. All of these answers, the sooner you know the answers, the better it is for you to navigate through this life. So there is a lot of beautiful opportunities that comes with it when you are traveling overseas, but always remember what are your core and principles and values. And also, one of the most important thing is, there's a lot of important things, to be honest. There's a lot of important things, but I would say is being passionate about what you are doing, and being passionate about what is your craft, and what you want to do, and what is your purpose in this life. You know what I mean? We have one life, and you're going to tell me you're going to plan to live it in whose terms? You want to live it under your terms. But what I mean, that's your life. And life can be defined in so many different ways. And I think it depends on what each person's happiness, what really makes you happy, what really challenges you, what really, I don't know. That's some stuff that you gotta definitely figure it out. What is your main passion? And I think this is something that I could definitely reflect on for the last 7 years of my life here in Budapest, is because I was always curious to try and go out of my comfort zone and do some work that are completely out of my field, because I was eager to learn. And that's very important to have when you are in your 20s. In your 20s, if you don't know what you want to do, you gotta go out and experiment. When I mean experiment, don't tell me about going doing some crazy shit that will end up you in jail, some stupid stuff. I'm talking about experience in life, experience in other businesses, experiencing different works to know exactly what you want. Because by the end of the day, we're all seeking the same thing, and we're just using different paths, but we all want the same thing. And that's very important to keep in mind, is that okay, maybe your path is not the best way, but you have to do what really works for you. So when you go out there already ready to learn from every single thing. So that's why I went working as a dishwasher, as a waiter, bartender, cleaning, renovation, labor work. And now finally, I really found my passion in personal training and helping people to train in the gyms and get them healthy and give them a second chance, because a lot of us deserve a second chance, no matter how you hit the rock bottom. And I have worked with so many people that have hit rock bottom, and most of them are foreigners as well. I have some few Hungarians. Obviously, we gotta practice a little bit of Hungarian language, but all of them left their countries and came here and then built something here. And they all have such a beautiful story. Some of them hit rock bottom where they have completely let go, and being there to help them and being present to help them and overcome this has been very satisfying for my soul. And that's the reason I don't see it as work, but I see it as a hobby, because I love what I do. And that's why passion is very important, to know why. If you are doing something out of passion because you're forced to, and I think this is why most of us are facing, is like, in order for us to stay in the country, you gotta work and get an 8 to 5 job for you to have the time to to stay there legally. So there's that indirect pressure of immigration, which is a lot of weight, but it doesn't depend on you. And that's why you should always worry about what you have in your hands. The things that are not in our hands, like, what do you want me to do about it? Okay, overthinking, but 95% of the time the things that we are overthinking about are not happening. That's a lot of waste of energy. Structuring your thoughts is very important. So worry about the things that you have in your hand. So all this indirect pressure, immigration and all that, it's very tough, but it is what it is, and you have to make the best out of it. And there are a lot of successful people, once again, have made it from nothing to something. And there's a lot of famous people for that give us a good example. So why not you? Why not live your life the way you want to? But at the same time, I don't want you to be selfish as well. Because in this life, if you're not living to make somebody's life better, I don't know what's the whole point of living. You know, this is a world where a lot of diversity there is, a lot of different mindset there is, but by the end of the day, we need each other and we need to be around people, because that's what it's all about. It's about the relationships that we build throughout the journey while we're going to the final destination of our life, or of our whatever goal is. So this whole journey over here is such a mind-blowing experience if you have to experience it at a very young age, because you tend to grow faster, because you're facing life situations much more sooner than most of the average people. And always keep that mindset, because in this whole game of going out of your comfort zone, it's very, very tough, but you always have to have a strong mindset. And I believe that's why I train a lot, because I train a lot physically. So I'm stronger physically, I can be stronger mentally. That automatically translates to that. But being strong mentally is knowing that you could handle every single situation, that life or obstacle that you're going to be facing. So no matter what, even if you don't know, you're going to overcome it. And believing in yourself is very important. And I know what it's like sometimes to live in an entourage where people, most of us, are not really supportive of each other. Because some of us have some crazy ideas. I've been called crazy many times. But this is what it is about. You gotta find your passion and where it resides. And it's not always about you as well. It's about what you could give to this world, what you could give to the society that you're going to live in. So when you're traveling overseas, how can you be more beneficial to the society that you are living in, which is completely fair because you're coming to decide to live in a different culture. So you have to start accepting and at least doing the effort to learn the language of the local country that you are living in, because it's going to help you navigate and also get you the fastest way inside that door of the culture. So that's always has to be said, because this is how it should be. You gotta take the risk. You're going all of that. You have to go and approach this with a very strong mindset, because this is what keeps you going wherever you're gonna go in this life, wherever country you're gonna go, wherever world we're gonna be living in. But at least you know that you got yourself, and self-love and self-care is very important to have as tools in your luggages if you are traveling abroad. And that's the most important thing, guys. The best that you can take with yourself around the world is your toolbox. And I hope with this conversation and this exchanging ideas has really given you a very good insight and a first-hand experience of a foreigner, an expat, a migrant living in a different country, like somebody who left their countries for better opportunities. And that's the most important thing that we can do, is share our stories. And I really hope that you really benefited from these and gives you a very good understanding of what are the potential challenges and what you could be taking with you and what you could start building right now for you to prepare yourself when you are traveling. And that's it. That should be it. So thank you guys for watching, and let me take my last sip of coffee because I like to end it on a good note.